This is Attorney Vincent Davis, and this is The Secret, How to Fight Child Protective Services and Win. You can also catch this show live at Facebook Live at our Facebook page, The Secret, How to Fight Child Protective Services and Win. I think it's actually The Secret, How to Fight CPS and Win. So go on Facebook and look us up and watch the show live. Before I start taking calls, I wanted to talk about what's going on with the court system right now. Of course, everybody knows we're in the middle of a pandemic, and the courts in each county are generally, for the most part, they're closed. There are, orders from the governors of each state or the mayors of the city about how many people can get together. There might be some federal guidance coming out on that issue as well. But for the most part, in California, all courts are closed, period, end of story. And there are some exceptions. For example, if the social worker comes out and takes your child away, they are having emergency detention hearings. So the rule is in California, at least for right now, all courts are closed except for emergency hearings. Now, I'm getting a lot of complaints from people calling me, telling me that the social workers are not letting them visit their children. And it seems that perhaps not only in Los Angeles County, but all over the state, social workers have suspended visitations. Now, I don't think that they can do that without a court order. I was talking to someone today about possibly bringing a lawsuit to reinstitute visitation or to at least have some types of alternatives. For example, FaceTime and Zoom, you could have visitation that way. It's not the same, really, but if you have a clean bill of health, I think you should be able to see your child. Now, there is an argument against that, and that argument is, hey, wait a minute. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We should stop all visitation. But I think a judge should probably make that decision or at least order that if the social workers are going to try to stop visitation. So we're going to wait and see what happens. It seems to be going on a week-by-week basis. I noticed last week there were several counties that were issuing orders about court hearings almost every day. So every day it was just changing, just a little bit. And, I don't know what's going to be coming up. I don't think we've ever had any situation like this, at least during my lifetime. And we have to see what happens. Hopefully they're going to reinstitute court hearings soon so that people can fight to get their children back and they're just not left in limbo. So if you ever have any questions about that, give me a call at my office, 888-888-6588. So let's go to the board right now. Let's talk to Janet in Los Angeles, who has a question about CPS. Janet?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, Janet. How are you?
Fine. How about yourself? I'm actually having a little bit like anxiety because what happened is that we went to the family law court, and then he said that during visitation, I hit my son, and then I told him, why did you lie to the court? And you said I hit my son. He said, oh, the nose bleed, something like that. It's all lie because there is cameras when I do my visitation. Mm-hmm. And I want to put DV restraining order since I'm a DV victim in the past. But I don't know if it's going to help me get my kid sole custody, the restraining order, because I have to do mental health evaluation. And in regards to mental health evaluation, it's very difficult for me to find a doctor because I don't know, should I go to psychiatrist or neurologist? Because it doesn't specify.
Right. I'm not sure because I'm not really familiar with your court documents, but I would email or call your attorney and ask him or her what you should be doing, the neurologist or the psychologist or the psychiatrist or all of the above. I just can't tell you which one, you should do. Does that make sense, Janet?
So only attorney can find out, basically.
Yes, your attorney can find out for sure.
100%. Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Right now, if I don't know, I don't have a attorney now. But if I go to like a consultation, will I be able to find out?
Well, do you have an open case with CPS right now?
Not CPS, but family law. I have next court date in June 25th.
Okay, so you're representing yourself. What you should probably do is go online and order all of the minute orders from your family law case. And if you get all the orders, you can get them right online. If you get all the orders and you email them to me or something like that, I'll take a look at them and then, I can tell you what I think you should be doing. Okay, Janet? Thank you for calling and keep listening, okay?
Thank you so much. Email?
Oh, v.davis at Davis at vincentwdavis.com. Yes, V like Victor .Davis at vincentwdavis.com.
wdavis.com. Okay.
Thank you, Janet. And again, thank you for listening. Let's take another call. Let's talk to Ashley from Lodi. Hi, Ashley. This is Attorney Vince Davis. Did you have a story to tell or a question to ask?
Hi, Mr. Davis. How are you?
Doing fine. Trying to stay safe, in these pandemic times. I hope you are too.
Oh, yeah. I'm not safe at all. I actually have a story and many questions, but I'd rather have you lead me because I talk too much. But my last name's Davis too as well. But I just wanted to let you know that.
Okay.
But so we have a case that's under juris right now in San Joaquin County, Lodi. Well, it's out of Stockton.
Right.
And what they did was the social worker, he was our social worker from a year and a half ago, and that's just another story in itself. But I didn't do anything wrong. So I exercised my rights and, was kind of rude to him at times. And he was trying to get me in trouble for something I didn't do. That was a year and a half ago. So I had another child, and there was cause for CPS to be called, but they sent the same social worker he's an intake investigator is what he is. And I still have the text thread from before, and the last thing that I sent him was asking for his supervisor's information and saying because of the continued harassment and also the whole process, and that was from 2018. And so I feel like it'd be a conflict of interest for him to work on the case anyways. But he had a court order typed up within 24 hours of me being at UC Davis and meeting us at the house within a half an hour of leaving. And then the next day, within 24 hours, he had a court order typed up, signed by a judge to remove all four of my children. All four of my children.
Ashley, hold on a second. Were you living at or near UC Davis? Because that's a whole different county. That's Yolo County. That's not San Joaquin County.
I didn't. I was scared to go to county hospital because of what happened last time, and I live in Lodi, and I didn't get prenatal care. So UC Davis is the best children's hospital in California. So my water broke at 33 weeks. So I felt that it was safest or best to go to that hospital.
I see. Well, do you want to get rid of that social worker? Because there's a way you can try. It's not guaranteed.
Well, he was just an intake investigator, and he was taken off the case right away, and we were passed to a social worker. But his report is the one that we got on the day of court is 70-something pages long. I saw one of your videos talking about the report you get when you go to court. It's 70-something pages long, and I almost majored in criminal justice, and I feel like due process does not exist at all in juvenile dependency court.
Well, hold on a second. Do you have a case in San Joaquin County?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I have, I think 3 or 4 active cases in San Joaquin County right now. And what I want you to do is I want you to write down my telephone number, and I want you to call me on Monday, and we're going to be discussing that, okay?
I did call your office and spoke to Yolanda. I was
But
given
but I want you to call me personally on Monday. Don't call when you call my number, say, "Hey, I talked to Vince on the radio. He wants to talk to me," and they'll put you through to me. Okay?
Can I ask you a question just to blast his name real quick? The intake investigator.
No, we can't mention any names, and my number is 888-888-6582. And I want to thank you, Ashley, for calling. We got to take a break right now. Attorney Vince Davis, and this is The Secret, How to Fight CPS and Win. I'm looking at the Facebook Live comments, and Mickey from North Carolina. Mickey, if you don't think you have attorneys out there, give me a call on Monday, and maybe I can assist you finding one or assist you with some advice. Even though I'm not licensed in North Carolina, there may be similarities, and we can still, maybe chat. The number is 888-888-6582. Okay, now let's take a call from Brenda from Los Angeles. Brenda.
Hello?
Hi, this is Attorney Vince Davis. You're on live. Did you have a story to tell or a question to ask?
Well, I was just asking,
I'm sorry?
how do I, I was wondering how do I get my, I was fighting a case, right? But, I got a baby on the way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, I've been sober and everything, but, because I'm still fighting a case with my I got, a 3-year-old and 1-year-old, and I'm still fighting that case. I don't have visits. So what should I do? My suggestion.
Okay, here's my suggestion. My suggestion is you have to talk to your attorney, email him or her, and say, look, we have to sit down and we have to talk, or at least have a telephone conversation so that we can come up with a strategy to help you get your children back in your custody. That's what you have to do.
Right.
Okay, Brenda?
Okay.
Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time. Okay, let's go quickly to, is it Charnel in San Diego? Charnel?
Oh. Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. You're on live.
Okay.
Did you have a story to tell or a question to ask?
Both. Yeah, both. So essentially my children, they were taken from their father's care. When it comes to, emotional and general neglect on my end, it was substantiated. But on their father's end, it wasn't. And so my question is, can they take children if there's a safety plan in place and their father has followed the safety plan, but the social worker feels that he may violate the safety plan in the future?
Okay.
Can they do that? Because I feel like they unlawfully took our children away on an emergency type of basis.
Okay.
They basically came in the middle of the night and took our kids.
Okay. So if the father hasn't violated the safety plan, in my humble opinion, there's no basis to take the children away from him. Now,
right.
I get this a lot. Social workers don't have any real facts or evidence, but they're going on their gut level feeling. And, not too long ago, I was cross-examining a social worker in trial, and she's told me that it was her feeling that, the children would be in danger of giving back to the mother. And I asked her to give me facts that supported that feeling, and she was not able to really do that. So if that has happened to the father, it's my advice that he should talk to his attorney and that they definitely should have a trial and challenge the social worker. Many times people don't challenge the social worker and they don't have trials. Or if they have trials, there's no live testimony. There's no cross-examination of the social worker. There's no testimony by the father or mother or, service providers. Look, if you go to trial, quote unquote, and all they do is argue by attorneys, in my opinion, that's not a trial because you haven't put forth any evidence. And by definition, 9.5 times out of 10, you're going to lose. Why? Because you don't have the evidence to prove that you should get your children back. So a trial means, throwing witnesses up on the witness stand, examining them, bringing forth evidence in the form of documents, videos, pictures to show that you should win your case. The law is very specific. And if the social worker says, oh, it's just my feeling, and you don't produce any evidence, then most of the time you're going to lose. Okay? So you talk to your court-appointed attorney. You talk to your and have the father do the same. And if you guys are on the same side, which it sounds like, you guys come up with a plan and a strategy. You have to sit down and talk to your attorney and come up with this plan or strategy. Many times people tell me, hey, the only time I get to talk with my attorney is 5 minutes before the court hearing. That's not going to be enough in 9 times out of 10 cases. You're going to have to talk to your attorney, email the attorney, call the attorney, and if the attorney doesn't return your call or doesn't, call you back, my advice is to let the judge know and get a new attorney. You're not going to win unless you talk to your attorney and come up with a strategy.
And my whole thing is, because I did my own research on this particular social worker myself, and when I looked her up because I guess in order for them to remove children from anybody's custody, they have to be licensed. So, when I looked her up on the DCA website and things like that, it said that her license is delinquent and that she's not even supposed to be practicing.
Well, she may not be able to practice as a licensed counselor or therapist, but all she has to do is be hired by the department to act as a social worker. You're down there in San Diego County?
Yes.
Yeah. So as long as she works for CPS in San Diego, she's okay. But she can't give professional opinions in her report or on or on the witness stand because she's not licensed.
Her name is all over the paperwork to remove the children. She had went up to the courthouse and got an emergency warrant to remove them. So my question is, can she do that, with her license being delinquent?
The answer is yes. Unfortunately, she can.
Okay.
I'm going to talk about this now. I wanted to talk about this, and I'm just going to talk about it with you and hopefully the other listeners. A lot of people call me and they talk about things that aren't relevant to winning their case.
Okay.
You in your own mind and your own heart think you believe or know what justice is inside the courtroom. And unfortunately, because you're not trained in this particular area of law, you're probably about 5% right. But that means you're 95% wrong. And then you launch into a strategy, and a lot of it has to do with complaining about things that aren't relevant to winning your case and getting your children back. People call me up all the time and they want to vent. And I listen to them. My staff listens to them. But hey, that's not going to help you win the case. Let's focus on winning the case. What evidence do you have? What witnesses do you have? What documents and videos and pictures do you have to show that what the social worker is saying is not true? And then, after you get your children back, then you get even with the social worker and you bring a lawsuit for violating your civil rights. But, right now, when you don't have your kids, don't be thinking about that lawsuit or getting even. Only think about winning the case. You get it?
I just thought that by her being unlicensed that she was going to throw the case out.
No.
My children's father said the same thing because he was like, she's educated, but her license is delinquent. They're not going to throw the whole thing out because of that.
Drop that strategy. It's not going to work. I guarantee you. Okay, and start thinking of a strategy that's based upon the law, the actual laws. All right, and to do that, you're going to have to sit down. Like I told the last caller, you're going to have to sit down with your attorney. You're going to have to sit down with him or her and develop a strategy to win. What witnesses to bring to court? What documents to subpoena to court? All of that stuff, you have to talk about it, and you can't wait to talk about it 5 minutes before you go into court. If you wait 5 minutes before you go into court to talk to this attorney, chances are you're going to lose. And then you're going to walk out of court, scratching your head, talking about why this is so unfair. It's unfair because you didn't get prepared.
Well, what his attorney told him is that if he doesn't get the kids at the detention hearing, that he was going to get them at the jurisdictional/disposition hearing because his case is strong, I guess.
Well,
I'm not sure
that could be true, but you want to make sure that he has all the evidence to rebut what this social worker is saying. Okay? So the only way
Yeah.
you're going to do that is talk to the attorney, have them subpoenaed, and subpoena the witnesses, subpoena the documents, sit down, strategize, and boom, you can win. These cases are winnable. People think for whatever reason, hey, I can't beat the social worker. Not true. Okay, it's just not true. You got to get prepared. All right?
But she had brought up his whole criminal history, like all types of stuff that wasn't even related to child abuse or anything
Right.
like that.
She's scrambling. She's using anything that she can to win the case against him. And that's why he has to bring forth evidence to show that the social worker is wrong.
But I don't understand that because the agency themselves, CPS themselves, they even said that he's a good father. He's attentive and and he's a good father from the agency, from CPS themselves. So that's
Okay.
why I don't understand why they're doing this.
Okay, Charnel, if you spend your time trying to understand what CPS does, you're going to drive yourself crazy. And you won't be preparing for the trial like I advised you to do.
Okay.
All right. Charnel, I got to take a break. My engineer is, he's signaling me. So if you have any other questions, call me at the office. This is The Secret, How to Fight Child Protective Services and Win. This is Attorney Vince Davis, and it's The Secret, How to Fight CPS and Win. Let's take another call from Nikisha from Los Angeles. Nikisha?
Hello?
Hi.
Yes.
Did you have a story to tell or a question to ask?
I have a story. I have a CPA test that's been going on since 9 of 2015, related to domestic violence.
Did you say 2015?
Yes, I did. September of 2015, CPS came into play when me and my two kids at the time, father had an incident. We weren't together. However, they did not remove the kids. They gave me a case plan. They monitored me for 8 months. They went after the 8 months. I relocated, like the domestic violence advocates advised me to. I did everything I was supposed to do. They told me to do domestic violence support groups for victims. I completed that with a certificate. I did parenting. I did individual counseling, and I also did drug testing. They removed my kids 8 months later, March of 2016, went to their school and removed the kids and said because of an 11-year history of domestic violence, failure to protect and general neglect on the basis of 11-year history of domestic violence. Since then, I have been fighting with CPS to get my children. Since then, I had another baby. They gave me a new case plan. I completed that, and they removed my new baby and was about to arrest me in jail for kidnapping when I didn't know anything of such. My last court date, which was December of 2018, the judge said, because my oldest, who is now 17, she'll be 18 in August, because she was AWOL the whole time of the case, that I had a monitor contact with her that she don't feel comfortable with placing my 10-year-old and my now, who is 3, back into my custody. My 3-year-old does not have anything to do with the case. It's not her father. She was not born. I've completed my case plan. I appealed every decision, and I just have no results.
You know, the story that you're telling me, I mean, I hear stuff like that all the time, and I don't see how you're losing.
I don't need them, Mr. Davis. I really don't.
You know, what you should do is get a copy of all of your minute orders, okay? And hold on.
Go ahead.
Get a copy of all of your minute orders and your last 3 social worker reports. Email them to me. I'd like to review them and talk to you about the case in depth, because unless you're leaving something out, I don't see this happening to you.
Not at all. My daughter, she had a baby. She's 17, but she had a baby in CPS custody. Right now, they're holding her in a juvenile detention center because CPS won't release her to come home. She has no charges or anything. And, she calls crying every day like, Mom, I don't have any avenues,
Okay. Well, Nikisha, this is what I want you to do. I want you to get those minute orders, those reports, and call me at the office so that we can go over them together. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you for calling and listening. And
can you give me your email address?
I'm sorry?
Can you give me your email address?
Yes, it's v.davis
Okay.
at vincentwdavis.com.
Okay.
All right. Thank you again, Nikisha. All right, let's take a call from Mrs. C in Los Angeles. Mrs. C, you're on the air.
Hi, Mr. Davis. How are you? Good evening.
Good evening.
I have some questions. Obviously, I am a mother that's in the system right now, and with all this going on and the court closures, my public setting visits obviously are not going to happen. I was ordered to leave my home, and honestly, my kids are so scared. They miss me. We're quarantined. I can't have visits, and everything's closed. And I'm thinking about if there's any way that I can go to the court to try to file something emergency, because our court date was postponed for about another month and a half.
Yes.
Now.
Well, hold on a second.
And
I'm getting that question a lot. We are in the middle of a pandemic. The governor and the chief judge of the state has closed the state down, and they're only doing emergency hearings. But one of the things that you can do, and the judge may be able to rule on this with just having a telephonic hearing, is making a motion to get the visitation or to change the order that you're looking for. But one of the things that's not going to happen, at least anytime soon, is you're not going to be able to go in court. But what I'm talking to my lawyers about is filing motions, asking for a hearing date, and asking for it to be, over the telephone. That way you don't have to show up, and nobody's going to be violating any pandemic rules and regulations. How does that sound?
I think that sounds like a good idea, but the thing I really want to file is how can I get to try to go home, because honestly nothing happened to my children and they don't have evidence or proof of anything. And I actually went to pick up a file from my child's preschool, from where this report came from, my child's preschool picture, over a birthmark on her forehead. And there's actually 3 incidents in this report from her school of my child getting bruises of what they're accusing me of at the school. I have all my evidence to back up everything that they're accusing me of. So now I'm wondering, and I think they can differentiate emergency cases with, excuse my language, but BS cases. I'm sure if they went to school and they have all these degrees and everything, they can tell.
Right.
Well, and I'm wondering if there's a chance of me to try to do something, because I don't feel like sitting back with my arms crossed, waiting for my court date. That's not going to happen now.
Right. Well, this is what you have to do. You're going to have to talk to your lawyer and come up with a plan and a strategy that will get you back before the judge, at least by telephone, before, they continue these cases out 30, 60, 90 days. I had a case in another county, and they just, this was 2 weeks ago, I think, or a week ago, and they continued it out to June. Can you believe that? June. Wow. So, nobody's been through this whole pandemic thing and the court closures in my lifetime. So people are figuring out what to do and how to do it. But do me a favor.
My court date was coming up. Yeah. My court date was coming up already, and then now it's postponed for another month and a half or so. And now it's what's going to happen? I can't, I have to be home with my kids right now, and I just don't understand how all this.
Would you do me a favor, and would you email or call your attorney? And if he or she doesn't respond, email or call me, and I'll see what we can do, or I'll tell you what I'm doing with respect to this pandemic situation. Okay?
Okay, and one real quick little question before we get off. But do you think, like, in your personal point of view with working with the system, the courts, the judges, and all that, do you think that they would just have, like, maybe, like, exception, or maybe if they can somehow see, just because of this pandemic thing, like, I mean, wouldn't they want mothers to be with their kids?
Yes.
Is there a chance of that?
Yes, there is. And I think, the court system is working on solutions right now. We're just in less than a week of this shutdown by the government of the entire state. But I think they're going to come up with solutions as we go along. I look for a lot of changes to come up next week and the week after that. So, but please talk to your lawyer. Please talk to your lawyer, okay?
I will.
All right, thank you. Thank you. I have to take a break, so thank you for calling and thank you for listening. This is The Secret, How to Fight Child Protective Services and Win. We'll be right back. Okay, this is Attorney Vince Davis, The Secret, How to Fight CPS and Win. Katrina on Facebook Live in Lexington, please give me a call on Monday. I might be able to help you find a lawyer, 888-888-6582. Okay, let's take our next call from Brian in Los Angeles. Brian, hi. You're on live. Do you have a story to tell or a question to ask?
Well, it's a bunch. I got served some paperwork in February 13th to go to court by a social worker and two female police officers.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, do I have to go? She said it's in my best interest. I went. You know how it is over there at Children's Dependency in Monterey Park.
Mm-hmm.
So I got the big paperwork, and I was there with the kids, and I go in the restroom. I start going over the papers real quick, and it was a lot. I noticed everything, you get me? So we went to court, and they're talking overrule, motion, blah, 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 all these things, and I'm trying to speak, but my attorney keeps telling me, if there's something you have to say and blah, 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 about all my doubts, wait till the trial. If it pertains to the case, wait till the trial. And I requested a DNA.
Mm-hmm.
So this is already the second time with DCFS. The reason they had taken them from me was because I was in a car accident on December 21st where I ended up getting stabbed. And Channel 34 Univision made a report on it. I'm guessing that's why there's an investigation. So they supposedly found marijuana and meth, so they justified for taking the kids, for putting the kids in danger. What I don't understand is if that's the reason why they took them, why I got served those paperwork in February 13. How did they get the blood work? Was any protocol broken? How can I fight to undo the kids? I came clean with them. I hadn't used that day. It's not like, I'm high on meth, I'm going to get my kids. I already had over 2 days sober.
Wait, hold on, Brian. Let me interrupt for you. Do you have a court-appointed attorney?
Yes.
Okay. If you haven't had your trial yet, I need you to sit down and talk to that attorney. Now, you've mentioned something about possible drug usage. If that is true, you need to get in a program and start testing. That's the only way that you'll be able to prove to the judge that you should get your children back. Okay?
But, sir, the twist is when I got the paperwork, there's Welfare Restitution Code 300, Subdivision B, and basically sexual human trafficking is in my paperwork. Penal Code 236.1.
Okay.
Can you help me with that?
Well, I would have to see the paperwork to really help you with that. But I can advise you sit down with your attorney and come up with a strategy, or call me at my office on Monday and, make an appointment and we can meet or talk we can't meet right now because of the pandemic, but we can talk on the phone or on FaceTime or on Zoom, and I can review your paperwork and give you more information that you might need. And I don't think in this very short call I can get that information from you, because we only have a few minutes. It's only an hour show.
Of course.
Right. So my telephone number is 888-888-6582.
I already made an appointment. I called the number and I spoke to, I guess, your assistant, and she said she was going to have you call me back, but I told her to give me the address.
Okay. Okay, look, Brian, I'm telling you what to do.
Yeah, I'm coming on Monday. Yes. What time works best?
Well, you can't come to the office because of the pandemic. Everybody's working from home, right? So you have to call and turn that appointment into a phone appointment, and I'll talk to you on Monday. Okay?
Are you real quick? Last one. Are you familiar with the Wallace versus Spencer about some case back in the 80s?
That's a civil rights case from the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, where parents sued the social workers and I think the police, and won, won a couple, won a lot of money. I am familiar with that. But listen, Brian, that has nothing to do with your case. Okay? That was a civil rights case. You're in a juvenile dependency case trying to get your children back. So let's get the children back first and then talk about the civil rights case later. Okay?
I don't know why. What do I know about this? I don't know why this is in my paperwork. I would love for someone to help me understand this.
Okay. Well, if you call, make an appointment, show me the paperwork or email me the paperwork or fax me the paperwork, I'll let you know. Brian, thank you for calling. I appreciate you calling and listening. Let's take a call right now from Janet from Los Angeles. Janet, this is Attorney Vince Davis. You're live on the air. Do you have a story to tell or a question to ask?
Yeah, I want to know, for example, how long is valid mental health evaluation?
How long is a mental health evaluation valid for?
Yeah.
It depends on the facts. I mean, if you have one that's several years old, it's probably not going to carry a lot of weight. If you had one just from 6 months ago, it probably will have a lot of weight. If the social workers are claiming some type of mental or psychological deficiency on your part, the best thing you can do is sit down with your lawyer, try to get an expert to evaluate you and see, where you stand with that evidence. Okay?
Yeah, and it has to be like a court approved, or it can be like the expert, or it can be like a private.
It could be private. It doesn't have to be court approved, but the person has to have some, qualifications. So you can't just go to, a lot of people want to go to their church and get a evaluation from the reverend, the pastor. Unless that reverend's a psychologist or a psychiatrist, it's not going to work. It depends because it's not, credible evidence inside a courtroom. So that's why I'm saying talk to your attorney, find somebody that's at least a psychologist, and go get the mental evaluation that you may need to win your case. Janet, I want to thank you for calling and keep listening.
It doesn't have to be basically a psychiatrist. It can be a psychologist too.
That is correct.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay, Janet, thank you for listening. Keep listening, okay? Let's try to take one more call here from Allie from Merced, California. Allie, this is Attorney Vince Davis. You're on live. Did you have a story to tell or a question to ask?
Actually, I had a question to ask.
Go ahead.
I had filed for an appeal back in December, on December 3rd, and the trial court here had actually stamped an inoperable notice of appeal. And in the record, it says that it was sent to the appellate project and myself, which it never was. I actually took it upon myself to send the appellate my documents, and they had written back to the trial court and told him that I did file it timely and to honor it. Now, since they had stamped it wrong, I have had 3 court dates, and I'm going to be going for my 6-month contested hearing on April 15th. Is there any kind of like recourse I can have against the trial court here for stamping that inoperable when it actually was, and for saying they had sent myself and the appellate project a copy when they never did?
Well, that's a very that's a tricky question because you know in California you can sue anybody for anything. That doesn't mean you're going to win, right?
Yeah, correct.
That's probably your own recourse at this present time. But are they processing your appeal now?
Yes, they sent it back to the appellate, and I have gotten an okay for the appellate project to do it.
Perfect.
And I'm waiting for a lawyer now.
Okay. Usually the California Appellate Project has very, very good appellate attorneys. So if you're assigned an attorney from there, I think you'll be in good hands. But what you should focus on now is your 6-month hearing and getting the children back. And you should.
I'm going to my contested on the 15th.
Okay, so I hope you've already sit down or will soon with your lawyer, determine what evidence that you need and how it's going to be admitted and admissible. So, you know, what witnesses that you need to bring in, what documents you need to bring in, what videos or pictures that you need to bring in. And you might even want to have the children brought in as witnesses. I do that a lot. I get a lot of flack for trying to do that from both, mainly from minor's attorney and from county counsel who represents the social workers. But sometimes these kids have important things to say that the judge, in my opinion, humble opinion, should hear. So you need to have that conversation now with your attorney, and don't wait 5 minutes before the court hearing, because if you do wait that long, you're probably going to lose.
Yeah, that's my problem too. Is I had already filed for a Marsden hearing, but the judge denied it because my public defender doesn't help at all. And I had brought up those exact things to her over the phone call because we had a phone call appointment, and she would not listen.
Well, you know, if you're having a hard time talking to your court-appointed attorney, and the judge denies the Marsden, you can seek appellate relief on the denial of that Marsden, or you can just go out and hire another attorney. I don't know if you can afford to do that. It's easy for me to say that, but those are your two remedies if the judge denies a Marsden and you really can't work with that attorney.
Okay, and can I bring up the Marsden on the appeal I've already started to file, or do I have to file another appeal?
You'd have to file another, what they call writ, in my opinion.
Okay.
All right.
It's the habeas corpus one?
No, that's writ of habeas is something totally different. It's probably writ of certiorari or prohibition, or writ of mandate, but you got to talk to your attorney about that, okay? Allie, thank you for calling. We're running out of time. Keep listening, okay?
Okay, will do.
This has been The Secret, How to Fight Child Protective Services and Win. I'm attorney Vince Davis. We'll see you next week on the radio.